boys and girls, so we're on chapter 10 of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, and this one is called the Lobster Quadrille, and a quadrille is a type of dance, so I'll let you research that. But anyway, get comfortable because we're about to begin on the next chapter. The Mock Turtle sighed deeply and drew the back of one of the flappers across his eyes. He looked at Alice and tried to speak, but for a minute or two sobs choked his voice. "Same if he had a bone in his throat," said the Griffin, and it set to work shaking him and punch him in the back. At last the Mock Turtle recovered his voice, and with tears running down his cheeks, he went on again. "You may not have lived much under the sea." "I haven't," said Alice. "And perhaps you were never even introduced to a lobster." Alice began to say, "I once tasted," but checked herself hastily and said, "No, never. So you can see no idea what a delightful thing a lobster quadrille is." "No, indeed," said Alice. "What sort of dance is it?" "Why," said the Griffin, "you first form into a line along the seashore." "Two lines?" cried the Mock Turtle. "Seals, turtles, and so on. Then, when you've cleared the jellyfish out of the way—" "That generally takes some time," interrupted the Griffin. "You advance twice, each with a lobster as a partner?" cried the Griffin. "Of course," the Mock Turtle said. "Advance twice, set to partners." "Change lobsters and retire in the same order," continued the Griffin. "Then you know," the Mock Turtle went on, you throw the lobsters!" shouted the Griffin with a bound in the air, "as far out to sea as you can." "Swim after them!" screamed the Griffin. "Turn a somersault in the sea!" cried the Mock Turtle, capering wildly about. "Change lobsters again!" yelled the Griffin. So this is Diddle, everyone, before you're wondering who this is. My cat likes me to read. "Back to land again, and that's all the first figure," said the Mock Turtle, suddenly dropping his voice, and the two creatures, who had been jumping about like mad things all this time, sat down again very sadly and quietly and looked at Alice. "It must be a very pretty dance," said Alice timidly. "Would you like to see a little of it?" said the Mock Turtle. "Very much indeed," said Alice. "Come, let's try the first figure," said the Mock Turtle. "Very much indeed." We can do it without lobsters, you know. Which shall sing?" "Oh, you sing," said the Griffin. "I've forgotten the words." So they began solemnly dancing around Alice, every now and then treading on their toes when they passed too close, waving their forepaws to mark their time, while the Mock Turtle sang this very slowly and very sadly. Bear with me, my singing voice is not great. "Will you walk a little faster and a-witting to a snail? There's a porpoise close behind us, and he's treading on my tail. See how eagerly the lobsters and the turtles all advance. They'll be waiting on the shingle. Will you come and join the dance? Will you, won't you, will you, won't you, will you join the dance? Will you, won't you, will you, won't you join the dance? You can really have no notion how delightful it will be when you take us up and throw us with lobsters out to sea." But the snail replied, too far," and gave a look askance, and said it thanks the widely kindly, but not to join the dance. Would not, could not, would not, could not, would not join the dance. Would not, could not, would not, could not join the dance. What matters how far we go, his scaly friend replied. There's another shore, you know, upon the other side. The further off from England and nearer to France, then you turn not pale, beloved snail. But you come and join the dance. Will you, won't you, will you, won't you, will you join the dance? Will you, won't you, will you, won't you join the dance? Thank you. It's a very interesting dance to watch, said Alice, feeling very glad that it was all over at last. And I do so like that curious song without the withing. Oh, as to the withing, said the Mock Turtle. You've seen them, of course. Yes, said Alice. I've often seen them at She checked herself hastily. I don't know where Din may be, said the Mock Turtle, but if you've seen them so often, of course you know what they're like. I believe so, Alice replied thoughtfully. You know. Sorry, my cat. They all have tails in their mouths, and they're all over crumbs. You're wrong about the crumbs, said the Mock Turtle. Crumbs would all wash off in the sea, but they have their tails in their mouth, and the reason is... Here the Mock Turtle yawned and shut his eyes. Tell her about the reason. And all that, he said to the Griffin. The reason is, said the Griffin, that they would go with the lobsters to the dance so they can be thrown out to sea. So they had to fall a long way, so they got their tails fast in their mouths so they couldn't get them out again. That's all. Thank you, said Alice. It's very interesting. I never knew so much about whiting before. I never thought about it, said Alice. Why? It does the boots and shoes, the Griffin replied very solemnly. Alice was thoroughly puzzled. Does the boots and shoes? She repeated in a wondering tone. Why, what are your shoes done with? Said the Griffin. I mean, what makes them so shiny? Alice looked down at them and considered a little before she gave her answer. They're done with blacking, I believe. Boots and shoes under the sea, said the Griffin went on in a deep voice, are done with whiting, not you know. And what are they made of? Alice asked in a tone of great curiosity. Soles and eels, of course, the Griffin replied rather impatiently. Any shrimp would have told you that. If I'd been the whiting, said Alice, those thoughts were still running on the song. I'd have said to the porpoise, keep back, please, we don't want you with us. They're obliged to have him with them, the Mock Turtle said. No wise fish would go anywhere without a porpoise. Wouldn't it really? Said Alice in a tone of great surprise. Of course not, said the Mock Turtle. Why, if a fish came to me and told me he was going on a journey, I would say, with what porpoise? Don't you mean purpose? Said Alice. I mean what I say, said the Mock Turtle replied in an offended tone, and the Griffin added, come, let's hear some of your adventures. I could tell you my adventures beginning from this morning, said Alice a little timidly, but it's no use getting to yesterday because I was a different person then. Explain all that, said the Mock Turtle. No, the adventure first, said the Griffin in an impatient tone. Explanations take such a dreadful time. So Alice began telling them her adventures from the time she first saw the White Rabbit. She was a little nervous about it at first. The two creatures got so close to her, one on each side, and opened their eyes and mouths so very wide. But she gained courage and she went on. Her listeners were perfectly quiet till she got to the part about her repeating, "You are, oh old Father William," to the caterpillar, and the words all coming differently. And then the Mock Turtle drew a long breath and said, "That is very curious." That's all about as curious as it can be, said the Griffin. It all came different, the Mock Turtle repeated thoughtfully. I should like to hear her repeat something now. Tell her to begin. He looked at the Griffin as if he thought he had some kind of authority over Alice. Stand up and repeat. 'Tis the voice of the sluggard, said the Griffin. How the creatures order one about and make one repeat lessons, thought Alice. I might as well be at school at once. However, she got up and began to repeat it, but her head was so full of the lobster quadrille that she hardly knew what she was saying, and the words came very queer indeed. "'Tis the voice of the lobster, I heard him declare. You have baked me too brown, I must sugar my hair. As a duck with its eyelids, and so with his nose, trims his belt and his buttons, and turns out his toes. When the sands are all dry, he is gay as a lark, and will talk in contemptuous tones of a shark. But then the tide rises, and the sharks are around. His voice has a timid and tremendous sound." "That's a difference from what I used to say when I was a child," said the Griffin. "Well, I've never heard it before," said the Mock Turtle, "but it sounds uncommon nonsense." Alice said nothing. She sat down with her face in her hands, wondering if anything would ever happen in a natural way again. "I should like to have had explained," said the Mock Turtle. Excuse me. Not virus. Cat hair. I just lost my place. "No, I should like to have it explained," said the Mock Turtle. "She can't explain it," hastily said the Griffin. "Go on with the next verse." "But about his toes," the Mock Turtle persisted. "How can he turn them out with his nose, you know?" "It's the first position in dancing," Alice said, but was dreadfully puzzled by the whole thing and longed to change the subject. "Go on with the next verse," the Griffin repeated. "It begins, 'I pass by his garden.'" Alice did not dare to disobey, though she felt sure it would all come wrong, and when she went on in a trembling voice, "I passed his garden and marked with one eye how the owl and the panther were sharing a pie. The panther took the pie crust and the gravy and meat, while the owl had the dish and its share of the treat. When the pie was all finished, the owl, as a boon, was kindly permitted to pocket the spoon, while the panther received the knife and fork with a growl, concluded the banquet by—" "What is the use of repeating all the stuff?" the Mock Turtle interrupted. "If you don't explain it as you go on, it's by far the most confusing thing I've ever heard." "Yes, I think you better leave off," said the Griffin, as Alice was too glad to do so. "Shall we try another figure of the lobster quadrille?" the Griffin went on. Or would you like the Mock Turtle to sing you another song?" "Oh, a song, please, if the Mock Turtle would be so kind," Alice replied, so eagerly that the Griffin said in a rather offended tone, "No accounting for tastes. Sing her Turtle Soup, will you, old fellow?" The Mock Turtle sighed deeply, and in a voice choked with sobs, to sing this: "Beautiful soup, rich and green, waiting in a hot tureen. For who such dainties would not stoop of soup of the evening, beautiful soup, soup of the evening, beautiful soup, beautiful soup, beautiful soup, soup of the evening, beautiful soup, beautiful soup, who cares for fish, game, or any other dish? Would not give all else for two, pennyworth only of beautiful soup, pennyworth only of beautiful soup, beautiful soup, beautiful soup, soup of the evening, beautiful soup, beautiful soup." "Chorus again," cried the Griffin, and the Mock Turtle just began to repeat it, when a cry of The trial's beginning! Was heard in the distance. Come on, cried the Griffin, and taking Alice by the hand, it hurried off without waiting for the end of the song. What trial is it? Alice panted as she ran, but the Griffin only answered, Come on, and ran faster, while more and more faintly came carried on the breeze, followed with them melancholy words, Soup, the evening, beautiful, beautiful soup. So that's the end of chapter 10. My word, the Mock Turtle was very sad singing that song, but hope you enjoyed me and my cat Diddle interrupting this story, but hope you've enjoyed it. So we're 2 chapters to go, so I guess I'll see you in the next chapter. Good night all. Bye bye.